Assalamualaikum and greetings to my lecturer, Madam Power. My name is Nur Atikah binti Nur Akmal and from BA246 4A. Today in this video, I'm going to present about the review of the movie named Default. The film was released on November 28 in 2018. It is the first Korean film to feature a financial crisis theme based on a real-life event. The film takes us back to 1997, where it is predicted that only 1 week left until South Korea will go under sovereign default, which is actually the worst financial crisis in Korean history. Han Seon, as the lead character in this movie, is a leader of the monetary policy team at the Bank of Korea. She was the first one to predict that the possibility of the sovereign default. This movie shows behind the scene of the story of International Monetary Fund (IMF) negotiation with South Korean government. Next, I'm going to proceed with the talk about the differences of approach in between IMF negotiation team and South Korean government. Let's take a look at this scene.
What we've come up with from A to F.
A to F. So, there are 6 conditions.
Actually, there is a precondition. The 11 institutions serving at merchant banks in Korea, we want you to suspend their operations and declare them bankrupt.
The merchant banks may be going through rough times, but they loan money to a lot of companies and people. Declaring them bankrupt will hurt the working class and drive smaller companies out of business.
I'm afraid we can't discuss any of the 6 conditions without agreeing to this precondition.
In this scene, we clearly see the different approach between two teams. IMF team is a power-based negotiator, as they focus on power, used such as a threat and intimidation. Meanwhile, South Korean government team is a right-based negotiator, as the female protagonist Han Ji-hyun applies standard of fairness to an analysis of the negotiation. Following on, these movie negotiations involve a lot with a chapter 5, power, gender, and also ethnics. Power is the potential a negotiator holds to influence others, or the cause of event, which in this movie is IMF team. Meanwhile, negotiators with a less power are highly accurate in perceiving and the behavior and attitude of those with a higher power, which in this movie we can see is the South Korean government. Now, take a look at this picture. Female negotiators encounter both social and economic backlash when they behave assertively at the bargaining table, where we can see in this movie Han, as the only female in South Korean side, being told to stop being emotional by its own teammate during the negotiation. And lastly, ethnic. The IMF side is portrayed as a puppet of United States in this movie, ready to prey on the Asian countries and force them to open up their market for hostile takeover and other exploitation. This shows that this negotiation is indeed a rigged negotiation between the Korean government and also the IMF. As conclusion, this movie shows a lot of negotiation scene, and it is not difficult to understand despite there's a lot of economics and also negotiation terms. Hence, I as a student indeed learned a lot from this movie, such as the negotiation terms, the negotiation ways, and also the economic issues. Thank you. That's all from me.